Wait for it. Wait. That doesn't matter, not tonight. Come on. Well, it can't take more than a minute, right? But 20 seconds. Come on. Come on. Oh, come on. It's 30 seconds already. What did I think? Did it just turn 4:19 when I got here? There we go. Not tonight. So I was up around 2. No, really not tonight. I was up around 2, and it seems like my machine is working. Or it's the editing part is functioning. I'm not getting any errors. Um, I exported 4 vlogs last night. Came out at a reasonable speed. I don't see any errors. My hard disk isn't crashing on me. Everything, it seems to be fine now. Okay. So, like I say, this will be that much faster when I double the RAM, number 1, right? So I'll be up to 8 gigs of RAM. And number 2, when I eliminate the virtual layer, and so this native. On top of that, I'll probably also see. I want to take it offline completely. The problem is I keep getting this show up here, which is false. This is a genuine. Not all of my copies of Windows are genuine, but this one is genuine. So why is it? It's easy enough to fix. All I need to do is turn my I need to turn that service on for a few seconds, and then it goes away. But like I don't like the fact that like I have to contact Microsoft servers every 10 hours to prove that my software is not stolen. I got to find a way to get around that. And if I can do that, I'll probably just take this machine offline completely. If I can't, I need to get online to prove to Microsoft that my operating system's not stolen. Every 10 hours. Kind of absurd. Anyways, I'm gonna finish eating, watch a few more vlogs, and get back to archiving. I didn't finish much last night. I kind of went to sleep when we were done talking. So back to archiving, and that's the day. So I've decided that the very first thing I'm going to pick up when the money comes in, probably next week, is a bicycle. Start a bicycle. How long we've been doing this for a year and a half, and you've never seen me on a bicycle? You've barely seen me play guitar, and you've never seen me. Like, who am I? Who have I become? I'm not. I used to live on a bicycle. Um, in fact, I have not been on a bicycle since I moved to Windsor. As crazy as that sounds. I used to bicycle I used to bicycle an hour and a half to work and back every day. 3 hours on my bicycle every day. It's a bicycle to school, to work, I get groceries. A big part of the reason I never wanted a car was because I had a bicycle. I guess it would have been about mid 2013. I'm thinking around May 2013 or so. I noticed my handlebars were a little tight. So I unscrewed it and all these ball bearings fell out. And I didn't really know what to do. I think I lost a couple of them. And the thing was, I mean, the bicycle rode. It was obviously very unsafe because like any little like turn would like like it wasn't level. And I kind of knew that it was probably the simplest, easiest thing in the world. But I put it aside until see, my stepmother was supposed to be sending me some cash. She never did. So I put it inside until that came through because I mean it wasn't really high priority at the time because I was walking everywhere and I wasn't at that particular point in time when I was staying with my grandmother, I wasn't really moving more than a few blocks in any direction. And when I was largely walking, spending a lot of time with occupied kids, and they walk everywhere. So it was just wasn't totally necessary. Or what I did up to that point often was I'd bike to the gathering and I'd park my bike somewhere and then I'd walk around and then when the gathering was done I'd walk to get my bike and it wasn't that's just how it was. So then I moved down here. When I moved down here I had a bit of a lump sum, but I had to buy a lot of things. Like I had to buy a dresser. Um, Not everything's gonna go. I had to buy a fridge, a bunch of furniture, and that kind of just whittled away. I was also smoking at the time. It kind of just whittled away, and the bicycle. It wasn't like I intended to fix the bicycle. I intended to fix it pretty much like the first week I was here, kind of thing. Like it was. It just never, you know. And the more my lifestyle kind of got stuck in place, it just kind of got to like if I could bicycle to Detroit, it would have been fixed by now, right? But then the money I was going to spend on fixing my bike here in Windsor, all of a sudden it made more sense. Okay, it made more sense to buy one over there, but the deal never kind of went through, and just, I mean, I can walk to the grocery store. I think a part of it is that like I'm not going anywhere on a regular basis, right? If I went to school every day, and I mean I know I'm old now, I shouldn't even be thinking about going to school every day. But if I did go to school every day, then I would need a way to get to school, and I would want my bike fixed. If I went to work every day, I'd need a way to get to work, and I want my bike fixed. But when do I go out? I either go out if I'm going partying, it's almost always in Detroit, and I can't take my bike with me to Detroit. And if I'm going somewhere in Windsor, it's like I'm going grocery shopping, or I mean, like I can't really do a compost run on a bike because it's too heavy, and it's this kind of middle point where it's like there really hasn't been a good reason to get it fixed. And it's kind of a travesty because, like I say, I used to live on the thing. I would bike everywhere. I'd bike down the block. I'd bike a block away, if that's, I didn't walk anywhere. I biked everywhere. I think that a part of the reason why I've seen so little of, I mean, I've been here for almost 4 years now, right? All of 2014, 15, 16, and then, yeah. And in that 4 years, it's like a 2 kilometer radius, you know? There are places I'll go downtown, but besides that, like, I've never been to the east end of the city. I've never been to the west end of the city. Except that one day I went to the court. I've never been to LaSalle. I've never been to Tecumseh. I've never been to Amherstburg. quite odd for me. Like when I lived in Ottawa, it's like there wasn't. I can't think of a neighborhood in Ottawa that I'm not familiar with. And the reason is because I spent so much time biking, right? But when you spend a lot of time bicycling, you're not just going from A to B, right? You're also going to all the places that are in between A and B. And you end up, looking for shortcuts. You take sidewalks, you take bike paths. It's just a different way to experience the city. So, for example, I live in a city. There's a huge bike path all the way around the river, and I've never been up on it in 4 years. That's kind of outrageous to me. If I had a bicycle, I'd definitely have been up there. You know, find something to smoke and go for a bike ride. That's like the best afternoon ever, right? It's just it hasn't made sense as a priority because I haven't had, you know, uh, extra funds of that nature. But 5,000, like, I mean, like, I'm having difficulty thinking of all those things. Like, I'm thinking like I'm gonna buy a stove, right? I mean, it's just it's when I signed the lease here, it's like I took responsibility for the appliances, so I bought a fridge, but I hung on to the old stove that was here because I mean, why buy a new stove when I don't really need one? If I've got extra cash, yeah, I'm gonna buy a stove so that I can have an oven. The oven doesn't work in that stove. The tops, the elements work, so I can make spaghetti, I can fry eggs, or whatever else I need to do with a frying pan, or a pot. But like the actual oven doesn't work, which for me is like I can't think of anything I would use the oven for besides um, either pizza or I might bake a potato from time to time. I probably would have more baked potatoes if I had an oven. It's true, but I mean like that's how far down the list we are, right? I'm thinking I'm gonna get my Strat fixed. So I'm thinking, what should I do with the bike? Should I fix my bike, right, with the ball bearings? I think at the very least I need to buy some ball bearings, right? I don't know. I'm gonna have to look at it a little more carefully. Um, I'm gonna be pissed off if I take a look at it and realize I could just fix it myself. That's gonna piss me off. But um, I found I was gonna there was a pawn shop up around the corner, and I was gonna take it there, but it turns out there's a more kind of pro cycle shop that's moved. I don't think they were there when I moved here, but they're there now. Um, it's just around the corner. It's like a pro bike shop, and they're saying they're only going to charge me like $30, which I wasn't. I was never expecting it to. See, there were actually a few times when I went down to the pawn shop and I had $50 and I was going to walk down there, but they were closed. Every time I went there, they were closed, right? So, I mean, like that's how close I got to actually fixing it. I had the money in my pocket and I went down, but they were closed. The but I mean, it was also kind of like a pawn shop, and like they had bikes there, but it was kind of there's a pro shop around the corner, and they only want to charge me $30. So, um, if I kind of knew that was there, I might have even. But like I say, it's like there isn't a functional reason for it. It's just pleasure. But is that what I want to do? Do I want to fix it or do I want to buy a new one? It's a lot of money she's sending me. Yeah, I could buy. I mean, I'm not. I'm not like, that bicycle there was like a couple $100, and if I buy a new bicycle, I'm only gonna buy like it's gonna be like a couple $100, right? I'm not looking for like a I'm not looking for a high end speed racer bike. What I want is something that I can shift gears in, because I mean I'm not exactly going to take it off road, but I am going to go up hills, and I'm going to take it out quite a bit, kind of thing, right? So in fact, I don't really want an expensive bike. Um, and people buy these expensive bikes and then they drive them down like the bike path on Saturday mornings 5 times a year, right? And that's fine. Like those bikes are good for that. But if I need something a little bit hardier, right? And through whatever contradiction in capitalism, um, the the stronger bikes that can take more are actually cheaper than like the expensive bikes. I guess they're fast, right? I guess that that might not be why people. I dated a girl a couple of years ago. Well, it was quite a few years ago now, and she wanted a really expensive bicycle, and I couldn't really quite figure out why because she didn't really use it very often. Um, it was just a status. It was status, right? The reason she wanted an expensive bicycle wasn't because there was any function that that expensive bicycle had. It's not because she wanted to race the bicycle. It was just because having an expensive bicycle projected a certain class, status, whatever, and that was important to her, right? It was the coffee shop liberal, the hippie crowd, and they're all super wealthy people, right? The rich white liberal urban coffee shop bicycle driving, you get the idea, right? And she wanted to fit in with that crowd, and in order to fit in with that crowd, she felt the need to buy an expensive bicycle. And she was working as a waitress at the time. You know, it was like a month's worth of wages that she put aside. And the only reason she was able to buy it was because I paid the rent that month, right? But I mean that's not what I'm looking for, right? I'm looking for a functional bicycle that I can, take through the back alley. I can go up a hill. I can ride. And those bicycles are a fraction of the price of these status vehicles, right? So if I'm going to buy a bicycle, I'm going to go to Canadian Tire and I'm going to pay $300 for it. And I'm going to get more out of it than anybody that's going to pay $1,500 for their skinny little city bike, right? Once I've done that, I've still got $4,500 left. I'm just thinking like, kind of a rough accounting here. If I spend in total, I mean, I'm exaggerating here. If I spend in total $500 on the bicycle, I won't. $500 on fixing up the other computers in the house, which I won't. Well, actually, that might be a little bit closer. I still got $4,000. Like, I need some shoes and some pants. We saw me rip the pants, and you saw my shoes and some underwear. So if I spend $500 on clothes, which I won't, then that's 15. If I spend, even if I do spend $1,000 on the computer, which I probably won't, then that's $2,500. It, rewiring the Strat. I mean, I'm gonna get an estimate on it. If he wants to charge me more than $100, then I'll buy a soldering iron and do it myself. Um, no, I mean I can solder it. It's just I don't have a soldering iron, right? No, no, really. If I had a soldering iron, it'd be fixed already. But I mean, it's easier. It's easier for me to show up with a, with a diagram and say, look, just do it. But I mean, if he's gonna charge me more than $100, I'll do it myself, right? I should probably have a soldering iron. Even if I do get him to do it, I might buy a soldering iron on top of it, right? But even so, when you add that up, and let's say I got some cords or something, that's $3,000. I still got $2,000 left. What am I doing with that $2,000? I'm just trying to spend a couple $100 on a stove, at the most. I do need to get some furniture, but I have to build it myself. Like, there's no way I'm gonna find a shelf for that CD, for those CDs, right? But maybe I'll do it, right? I mean, if I've got the cash, I'll do it. And then what's left? I mean, even that still, like, the stove and the wood together is gonna be less than 500, so still only 3,500. If it was steady, I might even think about electrolysis. It's just if I start doing it, it's maybe I could look into it a little bit because that's what I needed to do, right? So it's the only thing that works is actual electrolysis. If I come in with a large sum, if it's like $100 a month, well, I'm thinking about the orchiectomy, right? I mean, that's actually the biggest thing that's kind of stopping me from going through with the surgery. Is that I know I can't afford but maybe I can. Yeah. I need to phone stuff. Say I spent $500 on phone stuff, and I still got $1,000 left. And maybe I might just put that aside. I want to spend most of it on things. Like I don't, I want to. At the end, it might take me a few months, but at the end of this, I want to be able to, you know, send her back a spreadsheet that says, I actually spent $5,000 on things, right? Whatever these things are, that all the things they add up to that much, and rather than be like, okay, you know, I'm partying in Detroit every night for 3 weeks. No, I don't want to. I don't want to do that. I'm sure a little bit will find its way out to parties, but I don't. I'll have to take a look. At the very least, I'm not going to miss any shows for a few months, right? But the bicycle, I got to get down. It'll probably be both. And you're going to say, why both? Well, because, I mean, I often have had two bicycles. In fact, I've usually had two bicycles. and I say that at this point where I have none. Having two bicycles is really useful because if you get a flat tire at 3 o'clock in the morning and you need to get somewhere, I know that sounds silly, but it happens, right? Um, it might be a little bit less likely here now at this point in time. Um, Although I will say that um, being able to get around on a bicycle at night kind of opens up. You're a lot safer on a bike. If what you're concerned about is animals rather than people, you're a lot safer on a bicycle than you are on foot. That's for sure, right? And so, but I mean, like I used to go to school at 3 o'clock in the morning, right? Like I'd get to school at 2 a.m. and then I'd study all night. Go to class at 8 o'clock. So it was a real thing to wake up at It was a real thing to wake up at midnight. And I mean, I still wake up at midnight, right? We see that. But it was a real thing to wake up at midnight, realize, shit, I have a flat tire. I can't take this bike. I'll have to take the other bike. I'll pick up a tube on the way home. I guess the other way to deal with that is to have a pile of tubes, right? But it didn't. I was often kind of borderline broke, right? So, as I still am today. So just it wasn't always feasible to fix the bike right away. And having the extra bike, I know this seems counterintuitive, whatever. So I'm gonna spend an extra $300 on a bike. Why don't I just get $300 worth of tubes? Because it's just more useful this way to have a backup. Yeah. All right. Like I said, I'm gonna have to eventually go to that Canadian Tire in order to get some batteries, some rechargeable batteries. And it's useful more broadly because I can stop. I have to go by the Best Buy on the way home from there. And I think there's a Staples in that direction as well. So I can take the bus out to the Canadian Tire, go I need to get there, and then bicycle home. Yeah. Okay. I wanted to get a tape deck in there too, but again, that's like $50 or something. But I mean, that's what's going to be. It's going to be lots of little things. Lots and lots and lots and lots of little things. Little coffee tables. All that kind of shit. So that's decided. So that means that what I'll need to do is work out the things I need to get when I'm in that direction. Once I have a bicycle, we're gonna see a lot more of the city. We'll take these, you know, we'll take a ride up the bike paths. You know, I'll be able to fling myself over in more directions. And finances permit, I may finally get a bicycle in Detroit too. Hey, I told her it was more than enough. If all she wanted to do was buy me a computer, like $1,000 would have been enough. 1,500 just to be safe. 2,000 to be liberal. But this is my grandmother, and she's getting on, and I guess she just wanted to throw some cash at me. And I shouldn't feel guilty about that. I should be appreciative. I should say thank you, as I have, and I should be responsible in spending it. But I need to accept the reality of it, which is my grandmother's throwing some money at me because she's getting a little older and she wants to throw some money at me. So thanks, Nana. And first thing is that bicycle, both of them. That's a long-standing priority that should really take absolute precedent. And I mean, it's functional as well, right? Because once I get the bicycle, all these other things that I want to get, right? It'll make it a lot easier for me to get to them. It'll make it so that I can meet somebody somewhere. You know, if I end up buying things on Kijiji, I can meet somebody at their house, and etc. Some of the things are going to, like, I'll check the pawn shops, but like some of them I am going to actually buy over Kijiji. I don't know where I'm going to get an IDE drive. Bicycle it is, and I've been rambling for a half an hour almost. If I don't stop soon, I'm going to not have any more space left for the rest of the day. But I need to do this sometimes, and that, yeah. I'm less excited and more relieved, if that makes sense. You know? It's like things are kind of, in a sense, coming back to normal for me. I mean, I moved 700 kilometers away. And the intent was to start a new life, right? But I kind of feel like I kind of got stuck. Like, it doesn't. There's a lot of things about the way that I live right now that are as though, you know, as though the transition never, as though I'm still in flux. And not having a bicycle is one of those things. I mean, it's partly because it wasn't an intended priority. Like, the first week that I moved here, I was looking at how do I get my bike fixed, right? And it's 4 years later, and it's more of a completion process, you know, a relief, like lifting something off my shoulders. So, and it'll bring back a concept of normalcy, because this walking everywhere is not how I've lived most of my life. I've tended to usually bicycle almost everywhere. So I'm gonna get back to that. It's back to normal. And like I said, it'll help me understand my surroundings a bit better. Yeah. Okay. It's decided. And what am I doing today? I'm archiving. So I'll get back to that. Yeah, so I'm getting the same issue with the mouse. I didn't get that with the other machine. The mouse just stops. It seems to be that I don't know. It seems like I say, I'm pretty sure that what's happening somehow, somewhere, is that something inside my machine wants me to use this. I have this disabled. I will not use this. I can't it's like it would cut my productivity down by I'd be like 10% as productive. It's just I cannot use that.
It's like I can't type on a phone either. I can't. Like it's I'm an old person. I'm an elderly person. I need keyboard and I need a mouse. I can't function with this new technology like trackpads and phones. I'm sorry, but you need to think of me as being in a much older demographic because I just can't use these devices um, because I never have. But I mean, I don't. What I'm hoping is that is that when I do um, when I reinstall Windows, the only other thing I can think of is that it's the um, it's the Windows thing. But I mean, I turned my I turned the check on, and if that was it, it should have. I mean, unless it's irreversible. I'm just waiting for this to upload. It'll be done in a few seconds, and then I'm gonna reboot. And I guess the first thing I need to do is figure out how do I stop it from doing these periodic Windows checks because like is it not enough the first 1,000 times that I prove that I bought the software? You know, there's got to be a way to turn that off. So that's got to be what I'm worried about when I come back up. Just to check to see, because like I say, otherwise, if it's not that, I've got some kind of virus that's, but like it's not a virus. It's a U.S. intelligence virus, and they want me to use the trackpad because they can track me better that way. But it's like, I'm sorry, the tactic might work for somebody that's 10 years younger than me, or even it might even work for most people my age. But I cannot use that. I cannot, and I will not. And I'll just reboot my machine over and over and over again. Like you're not going to get anywhere that way. You're wasting everyone's time. Sorry. This is almost done. It's at 98. Okay. I gotta take some pills and I'll be back in a second. Yeah, so I mean, there's nothing wrong with the mouse, and there's nothing wrong with the connection, and I don't think there's anything wrong with the hardware either. I'm pretty sure, like absolutely sure, that it's an error in software. But I mean, like what? That's a ridiculous error in software, right? Like an irrational error in software, an error in software that's basically like impossible to describe in any other terms besides that something's taking control. So you know if I'm lucky, it's the Windows. I don't think it is. I think it's cyber warfare, and I don't I don't know what to tell the people that are again, I record myself, but I mean, what is it that you're looking for? Like, what is the purpose of the surveillance? That's what I can't. The surveillance is real, but why? What is it that you're looking for? Because I assure you that I'd be very forthright if you were to just knock on my door and ask me some questions. I might get a little bit irritated after a little while, but like there's really, honestly, legitimately no reason for the surveillance. All it's doing is making me less productive and wasting, you know, public resources because there are people that, you know, should be under surveillance that aren't. If I am, right? Those are resources that would be better used elsewhere. But I mean, from my perspective, I honestly don't care. I've been over this repeatedly. Honestly, I don't care if you spy on me. Just don't bother me. You know, Like, don't annoy me. And the thing that's surreal about it isn't the spying. The spying is really of no consequence to me. It's that the spying agencies are so incompetent that they can't do it right. Like every other day, there's some footprint. And so it's less that you're spying on me and more that you're harassing me. Because, that is the truth of it. The surveillance is so poor. At such a poor quality level. You're so incompetent that I can't even call it surveillance. It's just like you're just pissing me off. It's like you're obstructing me. You're teasing me almost because I know you're there. My mouse stops working randomly. I've got obvious, magnetic interference trying to pick up signals. It's just absurd. Anyways, I'm gonna see about the Windows thing. Maybe if I'm lucky, I can fix this. Maybe it's Windows malfunctioning, but it's not. You know, and it's like, however often you want to piss me off, like you can't be getting any information out of that. That can't be helping you. So like, why are you bothering me? Anyways, okay. For right now, I just want to test to see if this is the actual. I'm gonna leave the software protection service running. It's short term. But the reason I had turned it off was because it was killing resources, right? Like it just starts like it's basically spyware, right? So it's constantly running. For right now, I don't even care. But like I am taking this machine off the network, right? So what's the use of running spyware if you're not on the network, kind of thing? But for right now, I just want to test it to see because, like I say, I'm pretty sure this isn't it. I'm pretty sure there's some kind of like a Stuxnet type virus that like is taking over and it's trying to force me to use the taskpad or the touchpad. But let's rule this out. So let's test it with the software protection on, as much as I don't like that, to see what happens. Maybe we might even get through to the morons kind of thing. It's like I'm not trying to evade anything. It's just the program crashes, right? Anyways, if this it's not that like I don't even care if that comes up, right? It's the mouse. This is what I'm testing, right? In fact, let's see if I can even find some information to back up what I'm saying.